Alex Sarr has been awesome for the Washington Wizards, but he might even be better than we've given him credit for. Let's break down all the numbers and exactly why we say that today on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network in the nation. Alongside my DC sports content creating savant and co-host Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. AB, Nico Harrison got fired this morning. Unbelievable. It had to happen.
I knew it was going to happen, Ben. Shout out to our boys from Locked On Mavs, Nick Angstead and Isaac Harris. I didn't think it was going to happen this soon, Ben. I was thinking like at least 2 months into the season, but they got rid of him, and now Mavs fans are excited, and it's interesting to see what their approach is for the rest of the season because Kyrie's going to come back, and eventually AD is going to come back.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like, they trade Luka away, and how many months it was? 9 months later, Nico Harrison gets fired. But back to our team, the Washington Wizards. Run a 9-game losing streak. It's not a lot of fun. Should have won last night, or now 2 nights ago from the time that this will come out here on Wednesday morning. But let's look ahead. Let's look at some of the positives that we've seen. And Alex Sarr has been an overwhelming positive for this Wizard team throughout the early portion of the season here. The Wizards are 1-10, but Alex Sarr has certainly been one of the best players on this Wizards team. Maybe an argument for the best player on this Wizards team outside of a CJ McCollum 42-burger against Detroit the other night. I want to get into him and his performance specifically throughout the majority of this episode and why he's even better than we think right now. And then we'll preview the Wizards-Rockets, which will be tonight from the time this comes out. We'll have the coverage for that here on Locked On Wizards, of course. Abdullah, Alex Sarr here in year number 2 sneakily is playing at a near all-star level. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star. I'm not saying he's an all-star yet. We know it's partially a popularity contest thing.
Not partially. It is a popularity contest.
It is, for the most part. Like, he's not going to be an all-star this year. But I did a deep dive into a lot of the numbers for Alex Sarr from year 1 to year number 2, a bunch of different metrics to prove that he's even better than we expected so far this year. And I surprised myself a little bit because every single night I find myself going, man, Alex Sarr just continues to impress me. He keeps on getting better as the season's gone along here. Like, I'm really starting to see the vision for how great he can be here in DC. And then I look at these numbers and I go, wait, he's almost playing at a level where I'm saying to myself, this is like what you'd expect out of a guy in maybe year 3 or 4 of his career, and he's doing it in year number 2 as a 20-year-old, Abdullah.
And he's doing it against guys like Evan Mobley, Jalen Duren, Joel Embiid, guys who we want him to end up being like when it comes to being a center in this league. And defensively, been another 2-block game against the Detroit Pistons. I mean, he is so good at defending the rim, and he's only going to get better. And like you mentioned, not even 21 years old yet. Offensively, that shot diet, Ben, I'm going to keep talking about it because on media day and going into his sophomore season, everyone was talking about, will he be more aggressive in the paint? Will he stop shooting from the outside? And he didn't even take a 3 until game 2 or game 3 of this season. And he really put his money where his mouth is. And you just love to see it because all the noise that he was getting after his summer league performance as a rookie and a couple games in, everyone was writing this guy off, not Wizards fans included. And right now, he has the case to be this best youngest Wizard on this roster. And there's going to be a lot of cases for different nights, but right now, Alex Sarr has been that guy. And we're hoping to see more of this throughout the rest of the season because, man, he's been playing at a really good level.
It's funny you bring that up, people that, kind of trashed his name. I'm not saying this guy trashed his name because he's a legitimate great NBA reporter, Sam Vicente for The Athletic. He came out and basically said, yeah, I had to give a big apology to Alex Sarr for not including the top 10 in my redraft. So Sam Vicente, shout out to him for giving some credit to Alex Sarr where the credit is due. I'm glad you brought up rim protection, the 2 blocks per game now in 10 straight. It continues to pace for even better improvement here in year number 2. Last year, a block and a half per game. He's up to 2.5 blocks per game here through the first 11 games of the season. Second in the entire NBA right now, behind Wemby's just insane 4 blocks per game. So, for him to catch up to Wemby, that'd be a massive, massive ask. I think you might as well give Wemby the Defensive Player of the Year award right now. And maybe you should just give him the next 5.
For the next 10 years, Ben.
At this point, it seems like it. But he also continues to prove his value as a switch defender. When we were at Media Day, Will Dawkins told us, he said, I don't think a lot of you even understand just how good Alex Sarr was in year number 1, especially on the defensive side of the basketball. He said, per the metrics they used there, that he was the number 1 switch defender in the NBA. And I kind of was thinking to myself, I want to see the tape. I want to see this ability translate to on the court. Is this really something that's the case for this guy in Alex Sarr? And so far through the first 11 games, I think it absolutely is one of the more pivotal aspects of his game that's going to make him such a special player here in the future. The ability he showcases to switch onto players 2 through 5 and even the 1 at times. Last night, multiple occasions where he matches up with Cade Cunningham. And Cade, of course, every time he got the matchup, he was going to try to take it to the rim. He put up 45 shots in the game, so you knew he was going to go crazy trying to feast on that matchup. Sarr did a really good job holding his own when he got into that mismatch type of matchup. He's got so much length and athleticism to his game. He's able to make up to maybe the deficiency he would have in speed guarding some of those guys. But the ability to switch onto really anybody on the floor and provide stability on the defensive side of the basketball, it's going to be a major asset for this team when they're ready to compete more defensively. If you look at where the Wizards are right now in terms of a team defensively, it's really bad. They're a really bad defense. You cannot sugarcoat it, but it's not like they don't have good defenders on this team. And I'm talking about guys like Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, and Alex Sarr. The problem is the rest of those guys they have out there at times just can't play any defense. So it brings everybody else down in a way. So that's been the main problem. Alex Sarr, not one of those problems. Maybe just the strength on the inside guarding some of these big, imposing physical centers like Jalen Duren. Last night, maybe that can be something you could point to where he can work on his defense, but we know he's going to get bigger as time goes on in the weight room. I'm really impressed with what he's brought to the table defensively. It's better than it is in year number 1, and this kid's 20. It's going to continue to get better, AB. It's underrated how good he is defensively right now.
100%, Ben. And there was a play against Detroit where he swatted a Cade Cunningham layup, and I understand Cade Cunningham had a 45-point triple-double, but at the end of the day, doing things like that, and let's be real, you're in a nine-game skid, the Wiz right now. You're still going out there. You're still balling out defensively and offensively. I think his 15 rebounds, Ben, was a career high, like you mentioned. You just how can you not like that? Because this kid, via The Athletic, not in the top 10 redraft of the 2024 draft. I mean, it was absurd when it came out and we reacted to it. And I'm glad that he's quieting all the haters. And to be honest, Ben, I just love how offensively now there's movement when it comes to Alex Sarr. He's catching the ball at the high post. He's catching in the low post, taking shots in the paint. The three-point shot, when it's open, he'll take it. I mean, he's really checking off a lot of boxes that honestly didn't expect this jump probably until year 3, year 4, because the kid's only 20 years old.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up catching the ball at high post and going to work. He's top 3 in the entire NBA right now in elbow points per game. I think this speaks volumes to his improvement at catching the ball at the high post and just going to work. He looks confident in the mid-range game, and I know there was the one shot, which game was it, where he hit that post fadeaway, with a Kobe Bryant-esque looking shot.
I mean, a lot of these games he's been doing that.
There was one where he hit one of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen him hit, and I was like, there's just no way I saw Alex Sarr knock down that type of shot. But honestly, his body control looks a lot better to me. On those shots where he was fading away from the mid-range game last year as a rookie, at times it felt like he wasn't even really facing the basket. He didn't have great control of his movement, and the coordination wasn't quite there. He still does have some things to work on in terms of coordination, like catching the ball. Sometimes his hands are a little bit questionable. Maybe he's even leaving some points and opportunities on the table because he's just having a little bit of trouble catching the ball at times. That's gotten a bit better than it was in year number 1, but still something he can improve on. What else have you seen from him in terms of just going to work from the elbow, AB?
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I put out His game in the paint, you love to see it, but there's also a stat. I don't know if you mentioned already, but he leads the league right now in the most screen assists. Which take it how you think that is. I mean, still leading a league in circumstances like that, where you're still impacting the game from screening a defender. There was a play where he set a nice screen that opened up a CJ McCollum 3 late in the game against Detroit. So Alex Sarr is impacting the game on both ends of the floor, and I think his game is only going to expand. This is the foundation, because once he becomes so confident in a young guy who can just go out there and dominate, I mean, that take that I had about being a top 5, top 7 center in this league or forward, whatever position it is, Ben, he's going to dominate. It doesn't matter if he's playing the forward, guard, center. He knows how to impact the game at such a young age. And being that young, I mean, it's really scary for everyone else in the NBA.
It's funny because I remember you kind of got a lot of hate saying that he could be a top 5 to 7 center in this league at some point in the future. And I know positional flexibility is a thing this Wizards organization preaches, and who knows what we're going to see long term in terms of Alex Sarr's position. But by the numbers right now and just by the eye test, Alex Sarr's not even that far off playing in terms of the level he is right now. There's more numbers we have to back that up. I'm going to get into that as we roll through the show right here. So the playmaking ability, even just in terms of screen assists or whatever else you want to bring up as a big man, a way he can make plays for others, he's also really improved as a passer. One of the things they wanted to see from him, talking about the Wizards organization, was him passing out of the short roll. How could he make plays for others when this team, especially at the moment, doesn't even really have a point guard right now, so you need to look for some other options to help create. He's been that guy. He's top 5 in assists per game amongst centers in the entire NBA right now, averaging nearly 4 per game. The top 3 guys are far and away, and I'm talking about the top 3 in the NBA right now. These guys are far and away some of the most elite playmaking centers and elite playmakers, period, in the entire NBA. And I don't think Sarr could ever really replicate the numbers those guys are putting up. But asking Sarr to become an elite as a playmaker as those guys is obviously a massive ask. It'd be a bit wild. But the fact that he's finding himself in the top 5 right now is super impressive, because those guys I'm talking about in the top 3, Nikola Jokic, 11 assists per game, Alperen Şengün over 6 per game, Julius Randle, 6 per game. Or Şengün might even be more. I mistyped down the stat there. But those 3 guys are elite in terms of their ability to play make as big guys. And I don't know if Sarr is ever going to be as good as that, especially if this team does find its true point guard in the future, somebody to really facilitate for this offense. But the fact that you have the ability to play make for others as a center in this league and really work out of the short roll and find catch and shoot opportunities for some of your guys on the outside, it's impressive that Alex Sarr's put up numbers like this here in his second season. It's an early sample size. We're 11 games in, but the early returns are looking really good right now.
And Ben, the bigger picture, the kid is 7'1", 7'2", that moves like a guard. I mean, this is what you want as a Wizards fan. This is your foundational piece. And there's so many young pieces on the squad, and every night we're probably going to talk about another young guy. But right now, Alex Sarr is the talk of the town in D.C.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think he's been the most intriguing story for this Wizards team so far. And I know after the second night, it seemed like Keyshawn George would be that guy. And there's a lot of great things we can say about Keyshawn George right now. But I think in terms of just complete basketball and what he brings to the table and how important he's going to be for this Wizards team in the future, Alex Sarr takes the cake for me as the top storyline, the top headline right now for this Wizards team, outside of the losing, of course, and whatever transpired yesterday, blowing that game against Detroit. It's in the past for me. We're not judging the season by wins and losses. It was bad. You can't sugarcoat it. It was a bad loss, and it would have been nice to see that team get the win, but ultimately they didn't. But I'm still encouraged by other things we're seeing on the floor right now. Let's take our first break. When we come back, I got some per 100 possession data I want to showcase for you guys about Alex Sarr as he continues to prove he's even better than we think. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Bilt comes in. Bilt is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Bilt, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, or your next Lyft ride, and more. But Bilt isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. I love that with Bilt, your rent finally works for you. You're earning points on every month on something you already have to pay, like let's get some benefits from it. Whether I'm grabbing food at my favorite local restaurant or heading to the gym, I'm earning rewards every single time. Bilt has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use the link so they know that we sent you. All right, welcome back here, Locked On Wizards. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen, number one sports podcast in the nation, the Locked On Podcast Network. AB, per 100 possessions, Alex Sarr just continues to impress me in everything he's been able to do so far this season. I'm going to pull up the data real quick. From year number 1 to year number 2, we've seen dramatic increases in terms of what he's been able to do as an offensive player. Per 100 possessions, his points per game has gone up almost 8, from 22.1 to just under 30. His field goal percentage is up to 52% from 39%. His points in the paint is up 100%. Per 100 possessions last year, just under 10. This year at 18.9, so around 19. It's just insane how much he's improved. And we keep on saying every night, he looks good. He looks like a real good player. He's even better than we thought. I didn't realize he had improved this much. I know the eye test would indicate that he's improved a lot, but even by the stats, which usually don't even tell you the whole story when it comes to these things, the stats say, whoa, this guy is even better than we've anticipated so far.
Let me ask you this, Ben. I was saying this a couple of games ago. Is there a possibility where he can finish top 3 in most improved player voting? I know Grayson Allen's been balling out, but I think Alex Sarr has a really good case.
I mean, he can maybe finish like somewhere higher up in the voting. Grayson Allen's been playing well. I think Denny Avdija is probably the favorite right now.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like that's how it looks right now.
Yeah,
Denny's balling. But for your case, for most improved player, I don't know, maybe that's something where he could even win it like next year or something like that if he continues to put up these type of numbers in year number 3. Because the returns right now in year number 2, as a guy continues to showcase what he's all about as an offensive player. I mean, you saw people last year saying they were done considering this guy an offensive player. In fact, what was it? What show was it this year where... Was it Brian Windhorst and somebody else where they were saying, like, Alex Sarr is just a bum?
Yeah, that was over the summer. Remember they were talking about his play overseas?
Tim McMahon. Yeah, they were saying, like, Bilal and Sarr are just, like, bona fide, like, bums offensively. Yeah, a lot of words are being eaten right now by people who really doubted the capability of Alex Sarr. And I know you and I obviously had a lot of belief in him. I've been bullish on the guy for the most part throughout this process because I had super high expectations for him. And not because I'm saying he had to exceed those expectations early on, just because I knew he was capable of it. Just watching the guy and seeing the athleticism, the skill, the tools he possesses, like this guy can be really good. He just needs to put it all together. And so far, he's put a great deal of it together. There's still more he can work on, which we'll get into in just a second. But I can't believe we're actually even having this conversation right here in year number 2, AB. I didn't really expect it to be this great so far. Hopefully it continues.
And we're hoping that it does. And I think, again, I didn't think we were going to have this conversation. Maybe year 3 we see that jump, but year 2 this early, you really, really love to see it. And a guy like him, Ben, who can impact the game in so many ways, it just opens up opportunities for other guys on this team on the wing like Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, who we're hoping to see him get out of the sophomore slump. I think his ability to impact the game is truly special at such a young age, and obviously Wemby is going to win Defensive Player of the Year and for the next couple of years for sure, but I think Alex Sarr, when it comes to making an all-defensive team, he's definitely going to make a lot of those, and a lot of accolades, a lot of stats, a lot of records that we're hoping to see him break. He's a star. Sarr is a star. I think that's how you can basically say it. Once this team starts winning, then people will realize that. Obviously now everyone just the whole league in general. If you're not a Wizards fan, you don't really think much of the Wizards. You just think of the easy term is a poverty franchise. But once this team starts being competitive in a way, when you're going back to the playoffs, winning in the first round, potentially making it to the conference championship, then fans are going to say, man, that guy Sarr is actually really good.
Yeah, and I think some people around the league are starting to notice it a little bit because they're saying, all right, like, we'll take notice. I think the teams that play Alex Sarr will really start to notice it. Think about if you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. I know we throw around the comparisons with Evan Mobley so often. I wonder if Cleveland fans watching that game were starting to say, this kind of looks a little bit like early Evan Mobley. And I wanted to touch on Evan Mobley, and I know the comparison's thrown around so much. We got to see it up close and personal last Friday. It was a blowout game, obviously. Alex Sarr was fantastic in that game as well. One of the things to make the case for Alex Sarr and when he might eventually be an All-Star, because we asked Greg Finberg, I said, buy or sell, do you think he could be an All-Star as early as next year? He said he would sell because he didn't think the Wizards would be competitive enough to get the fan vote, which I think is a very, very fair point that Greg brings up. Evan Mobley made his first All-Star game last year in the 2024 campaign. He was also the Defensive Player of the Year, so that's a big-time accolade for Evan Mobley, who received that award in year number 4 as a 23-year-old player. So Alex Sarr right now, year number 2 as a 20-year-old player. I think realistically, if he continues to play at this pace and he even improves in year number 3, he keeps it up here in year number 2, improves upon it in year number 3 to year number 4, I feel like you should see Alex Sarr make an All-Star game by potentially as early as year number 3, definitely by year number 4. If he's putting up these type of numbers, it's going to be hard to keep him off an All-Star team. The Wizards just have to become more relevant for him to get to that level, for fans to be interested in what this French kid has to provide. He's going to continue to improve his game and get better on some things. AB, one thing I want to see him improve upon, I know we've been all about Alex Sarr and how great he's been. One thing that's a bit of a deficiency in his game right now, and it's just something he has to work on because he's a young player. There are times where he struggles turning the ball over, and it's those opportunities where you see him get the ball around the high post, try to go to work with that drop step move when he gets into the lane. He's still not great with the handle. I noticed when the double team comes his way, he sometimes has a hard time keeping the basketball out of harm's way. You see it get stripped away from him a little bit or lose control of the ball. Just this control of the basketball, one thing being catching the basketball at the hands and then also showcasing the ability to dribble and really control himself with those post moves. Sometimes his body gets a little bit out of control in those moments and he loses possession of the ball, but I think that's going to iron out as he continues to get reps at that and just ball handling drills all summer long. That's what Alex Sarr is going to be working on, I think, AB.
And we saw that, Ben, with the suffocating defense of Detroit, where it was either Kay Cunningham or someone on the wing where Alex Sarr was trying to post up and someone from his blind side poked the ball away. But once you have an IQ, or you saw what happened with Nikola Jokic does. If a double team comes, he finds the open man. If Alex Sarr, once he realizes that he has to make that quick decision, a quick move, I mean, defenses are going to have to figure out either we leave our guy one-on-one with him or we're going to double and he's going to find someone on the wing for 3. Small things like that, which young guys will definitely pick up come year 3, year 4.
Absolutely. Let's take one more quick break. When we come back, a couple more points here on Alex Sarr, then we'll get into a preview here of Wizards Rockets tonight. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overage, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with a high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. I love that you're getting the same quality service you had before, but for a fraction of the price. The setup is super easy. You kept your number, and you're up and running in minutes. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LocdownNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LocdownNBA. Required upfront payment of $45, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months. Only speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on a limited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Alex Sarr in BPM box plus minus, an advanced basketball statistic that estimates a player's overall contribution to a team per 100 possessions relative to the league average. It is calculated using by play-by-play and box score data presented as a per 100 possession stat, where it represents a player average. A positive BPM indicates a player is contributing more points per 100 possessions than average, while negative means they are contributing less. Also, this stat has a way of accounting for team overall performance. So Alex Sarr being on the Wizards can't hurt him in this stat, essentially. It accounts for, the poor basketball that might happen around him, not dwindling that. Right now, Alex Sarr in BPM is over 3. He was top 20 around 3 days ago, but since then he's dropped to 37th in the league. So I think we're going to circle back to this as the season goes on. He's actually right behind Evan Mobley right now in BPM, and he's 8th amongst centers in the league right now. So, AB, you said top 5 to 7. He's at 8 according to this stat in BPM, which is a pretty good indicator to how valuable a player is toward his team and just how effective he can be. You might have a strong case for what you said a week ago, AP.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right, but those are some advanced stats, Ben. You love to see it. And I think, again, Ben, obviously Wemby is great, but when you think of a guy who can play on both ends of the floor, athletically, the IQ, I think Alex Sarr has the potential. And Nikola Jokic is great, don't get me wrong, but eventually Nikola Jokic is going to retire. He's getting up there in age. Someone has to step up. I'm not saying Alex Sarr is the next Nikola Jokic, but if you see some of the glimpses that Alex Sarr has provided in year 2, and I always talked about how this kid is coming from the Australian League, going from that league to the NBA. It is quite the adjustment, and a lot of people are willing to write him off, very impatient. But once you give that time, the kid time and put development under him, I think the sky is the limit, and we're hoping to see him continue this as long as he's healthy. If he can somehow find a way to stay healthy, he'll be just fine. And remember, we were talking about early on the season, man, where it's like, why isn't Alex Sarr getting this many minutes? Is he in load management because of the calf issue? Now it doesn't look like it's an issue at all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think now that he's been off that restriction, he's been able to play for the full allotted time that he needs to be out there to prove just how good he can be, just how he might even be better than we think. All right, let's quickly, while we can have some time, preview this game against the Houston Rockets. Wizards trying to avoid a double-digit losing streak here once again. 2 16-game losing streaks last year. If they lose this one, it would be a 10-game losing streak before coming home on Sunday to play the very lowly Brooklyn Nets. So hopefully if it does get to 10, the Wizards would be able to find a win against Brooklyn. Right now, just surface level, KD is the leading scorer right now for this Houston team, and I can't say I'm surprised. This Rocket squad going for it all this year, made the big move to move on from Jalen Green, some other picks as well, to get Kevin Durant because they felt like he was the missing piece. Fred VanVleet goes down with an ACL injury, so he's out for the season. That was a big blow for them. But Houston still has put everything together. They've kind of been operating without a true traditional point guard for the most part, but Houston has still found a way to be super successful. I'm interested to see the matchups between probably KD and Keyshawn George, who will get that assignment. We saw Keyshawn force Cade Cunningham into going 6 for 14 from the field yesterday in those opportunities. So to get a Hall of Fame level player and KD up against Keyshawn will be fun. And then Sarr and Alperen Şengün.
That's gonna be very exciting, Ben. And also, it's the Kent Whitmore revenge show, Ben. I mean, this is the team that traded him. I understand it didn't work out for him, couldn't carve out a role in Houston. But if you're Kent Whitmore, even on the heater recently, you got to go out there and say, there's a reason why you shouldn't have traded me, and I'm going to go ball out tonight.
It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully we get the same level of minutes we got the past 2 nights, because after his minutes decreasing for 4 straight nights, and it seemed like maybe he was falling out of favor in the rotation, Keefe assured us that it was nothing to do with him and that he's going to get his opportunities. They were just trying to see some other things, and there's probably some truth to that statement based on how the past 2 nights went. The season high last night for Cam Whitmore, who looked really good on both ends of the basketball for that matter. And I was actually mad at Keefe that they took him out of the game on that last possession. I feel like Bub, I know he's getting a lot of stray right now for leaving Jenkins open in the corner on that play and kind of having a lapse of judgment where he didn't get to him in time. Should have been denying the ball probably. Why didn't you have Whitmore out there in that situation? Whitmore had been playing really good defense all night. I don't think it made much sense to have Bub in the game at that point. So I'll kind of chalk that up to a mistake there for Brian Keefe.
Yeah, and Also, Sarr Thompson, right? It's Amen or Sarr that plays for Houston.
Amen. Also,
Amen,
sorry.
sorry.
For Detroit, yeah.
Sorry. I always confuse the two. They literally look alike. Yeah. Amen Thompson's really, really nice as well. He's so shifty and so quick, so that's going to be another problem that Washington is going to have to deal with. But if you can find a way to play how you did in Detroit, those 4 quarters, and you play that like that in Houston, it could be a very competitive battle to the end. But again, Kevin Durant, so freaking gifted, one of the best scorers of all time in the NBA. Alperen Şengün, a mini Nikola Jokic. This Houston, Reed Shepherd, who's having a really good year. They have some nice pieces, and if the Wizards don't find a way to play complementary basketball, it could be a long night, and the losing streak could potentially extend to 10.
Yeah, we just want to see this team compete. Last night was definitely a breath of fresh air to see the team compete for the entirety of the game. Should have got the win. It didn't happen, but I'm just happy to see the team even be in it. I want a chance in every single game. I know the wins and losses are important. You ideally want to lose enough games to keep that draft pick, but I want to see these young guys have an opportunity to try and go win a game because they need those learning experiences playing down the stretch. They didn't look good last night. In overtime and late in the fourth quarter, they fell apart a little bit, and some of it was to the fault of the young guys, but that's the learning curve. This is the first time that a lot of these guys have had the opportunity to play in a situation like that in the NBA. So the only way you're going to get better is by learning from your mistakes, and last night was an example of that, AB. Hopefully we continue to see that happen a lot more, but maybe the mistakes are going to turn into, some perfections.
Yeah, and again, at the end of the day, wins and losses truly don't matter. It's all about player development. That's why we made a whole video about Alex Sarr.
Yeah, 100%. Alex Sarr, he's been even better than we have thought. What have you guys made of Alex Sarr in his game? Is he even better than you anticipated? Did some of the stats we broke down today maybe even enlighten you a little bit about just how good he's been as a center in the league so far? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you're looking forward to seeing the most in this matchup between Washington and Houston. We'll have the coverage for you tonight here on Locked On Wizards. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the nation. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We'll talk to you later.